So you started at acting at age 5. That's so young. How did you get started?
Well, I was actually, my first official acting job, I was in diapers, actually. I worked on a Pampers commercial. My mom and my sisters, they were, models in the industry as well. And my mom was putting me in the industry as like a baby in diapers. So I don't really remember that, but she showed me a couple of these commercials. But then I think it was about maybe 6 or 7 years old when I started to like actually really enjoy and understand what I was really doing. And it comes to a point when you're like, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life. Not only because it's interesting, it's fun, I get to do something different every day, but it's just, when you have an artist bone in your body, you have to exuberate, you have to be extroverted in a type of way that, most people don't understand, and playing a character and being somebody else is really the only way to get it across.
I was looking at your IMDb, and I saw that you had a small role on The Latest Buzz.
Yes. Yeah.
And then after that, you co-starred with some of those kids, so you were kind of like equal billing.
Yeah.
Was that weird?
You know what's so funny? I think I only did like one episode. It was a day player role, one line. And I had talked to, Monroe and Demetrius and Justin Kelly, who surprisingly now are all my best friends. And it's funny, there's one shot from The Latest Buzz, and it's like the three of them in the front, and then like me in the back, and then it was funny because someone did like a parallel to the three of us and me like beside them in Degrassi, and it was weird. But you know what's it's interesting. I saw that the chemistry and the friendship that they had, and as a young kid, you're always like, like that's what you want when you work on set, and it's very interesting that it ended up being the group of us, all four of us again, being like a little family, and we are still a family. I see them. I live in LA, and Monroe was living with me for a little while. I just saw him again recently. Me, Justin, and Monroe all just hung out. So it was very interesting thing. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. And I think Degrassi fans would think that's really cool that you guys are still friends so long after the show.
Yeah, people definitely, we posted a picture and people were like, I didn't know you guys still hang out. I'm like, hey, still, these are my family, this is going to be my wedding party, these guys, It's much more, Degrassi didn't just build like a bunch of actors who work together. They really built like a family that we all enjoy each other's company and still do. Sorry, spend time with each other.
You played Drew for, I think it was 5 years.
Yeah, 6 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's like one thing that you remember that you learned from being on that show?
I think I learned as an actor more than any workshop or any class could ever teach you. Everything down from like where to stand or just how to not be awkward on camera. But I think it just, the one thing that I think I definitely learned is just enjoy your time on set because it goes too fast. Like for me to say I did 6 years of that show and I'm done already, it blows my mind. So I think that was the one thing. Now every new set I go on, I really try and soak up those few days when you're really starting to know people, because those are they're the most interesting days. Meeting new people is great, and getting to work with new people and seeing what makes people tick on set. Because you really are. You're on set for hours at a time with these people. So if you don't like them, you're done, basically. So Degrassi was an excellent all-around experience for sure.
Your character goes through so much on that show too, through the 6 seasons. What was your favorite storyline involving Drew?
Well, my favorite storyline, aside from all the women that he's been with, I'm like an action, hands-on kind of guy. So I think it was season 11 or maybe 12. He had post-traumatic stress disorder, and in part to deal with that, he ends up joining a fight club. So we ended up doing like 6 weeks of training, learning Commando Krav Maga, like in an actual, they built like a proper octagon in the back of the sound stage. So it's cool, being on your hands, sweating, flipping other actors, choreography. I think that was definitely one of the highlights for me for sure.
How long was it after Degrassi, or your run on Degrassi ended, that you were cast on Raising Expectations?
I think the time from me leaving Degrassi to then starting Raising Expectations was roughly about, I want to say just under 2 years. From like the time when I had officially finished, I think just under 2 years, maybe 2 years, yeah. my timing's all spotty. I'm all over the place. Yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, it seemed like you were on it, and then like next
Yeah.
week you were on another show already.
Yeah, well, I was at the end of my run on Degrassi. I was filming 2 seasons of a show called Lost Girl at the same time. So my last year of Degrassi got really, really jumbled together just between filming back and forth. I also filmed a movie called Hellions right in that same little stint at the end of Degrassi. So it was very, very busy last couple of months for me. So it kind of flew. I think it was like our last day, and I showed up, and I'm like, I can't believe we have a week left. And he's like, what do you mean, Luke? This is your last day. Today is your last day. I'm like, whoa, I'm all over the place, guys. Like, you gotta help me out here. Yeah.
And you were talking about getting to know the people around you who play your cast members or your family members, maybe. What's it like having Molly Ringwald and Jason Priestley as your parents?
It's great having the two of them, just because they are who they are. Aside from the work that they've done, as people, they've done incredible things for both the industry, say the environment, and social justice in a way. It was a little bit nerve-wracking because we are all actors. We're all here for the same job. But yeah, you step on set and you really realize that these are celebrities in their own right. It was great. Molly and Jason, they're really easy to work with. It's interesting when you start a show where you're supposed to be a family, and you don't do 5 months of family building. You have to get on set and almost feel like you have these inside jokes, and you feel like you have this 18, 16 years of fatherly bonding. How do you instantly have that with someone? And when you have people like Jason and Molly who are just so dedicated to their job, like every actor should be, it comes instantly almost. You start that joking process so much earlier than you would. You know what I mean? Like, if you meet a person on the street, you're not going to instantly start making super sarcastic jokes towards them. But I felt like day one I have to make fun of Jason Priestley. It's the only way I'm going to get in here. You know what I mean? So I went straight to it, and he's a good sport, and it didn't take very long for him to start making fun of me back.
They were teen stars when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Do they ever talk about that time with you? Because you kind of went through the same thing.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like me being a teenage actor and a young actor on television, I feel like I understand that aspect of them. So it's kind of very unspoken, but you don't really want to sit down and talk about the same things that they've talked about for the last 30 years. You know what I mean? But me and Jason, we had a couple of moments about talking about 90210, and he was telling me some stories. I won't rat him out or anything, but yeah, me and Jason especially had a very similar teen to adulthood. If you take it in the amount of who you're working with, how much you're working, and just growing on set. That was one of the things that we talked about, is just becoming your formidable years of being a young adult are all basically in front of the camera and having other people know you. So it's different and interesting in a way that you really can't explain or describe to someone other than people who know it and understand it. And I feel like we really were on the same page, me and Jason, a lot of the times, which I feel really transferred into our father-son bond on set very easily. So it was really good.
How much time do you spend in Toronto filming Raising Expectations?
Yeah, we did both of the seasons in the one summer. So it was, 7 months we did the 26 episodes. So we were stuck in a family house, and we shot it in a house, and not on a studio, in a house in, say Burlington. We'll cut that part out. Doesn't matter where it is. But we shot in an actual house, so there's no sound stage, pulling things back. We're in each other's face for 14, 15 hours a day, so you get to know each other pretty well.
You were born in Toronto, but you live in Los Angeles. Yep. Do you enjoy living there?
You know what? I love it. I kind of grew up, especially, being in the industry at such a young age. You kind of have this envisionment of Hollywood and, being out there and stardom and all that stuff. But, once you get out there, you start to realize it's just another working city, just like here. And I love it, honestly. I love my home. And when you go away from Toronto and Canada, you really appreciate what we have here in our industry and the people. We're such a kind, warm, gentle-hearted nation. And it's hard to step away from that and go into the almost throat-cut society that Los Angeles is in the industry. But you know what? Once you establish a life, I'm surfing 2-3 times a week. You can't complain. There's nothing you can complain about when the weather is 105 degrees. Maybe just the heat, but other than that.
Raising Expectations is so much fun to watch. How much fun is it to film that show?
You know what? It's funny. I just recently went back and watched a bunch of episodes, and because, like I said, we filmed at such a rapid rate, you don't really get to enjoy each moment as much as you really maybe should be, because you are filming at such a constant pace. But when you rewatch them, you realize how many hilarious moments that we really were having on set, because you can see them. I'm not even thinking about the dialogue or anything. I'm thinking about the things we were saying before we started shooting, and we were really just having so much fun constantly. You have a bunch of kids who are pretending to be family, but you turn into family at the end. So it's pretty cool.
And what can we expect to in the next season?
In the next season, you can definitely expect more Wayne rambunctiousness. I don't think there's an episode that goes by where something's not going wrong. I think the interesting thing is that, you see a lot of family shows, and it's conflict outside of family. Each character has their own problems. And I think you see that a lot in Raising Expectations. But one of the greatest things is that you see family turmoil and how, as a family, you can really learn how to work together through your problems and really build a relationship. And I think that's the great part, is that you get to see them fight, but you get to see them laugh and have fun as well, which I think you're going to see a lot more in this season as well.
Sounds great. And you've had so much exposure on TV and in movies in Canada and the States. What has been your craziest fan encounter?
Oh, man. They definitely get crazier as you go along, from people jumping on you mid-subway to people just screaming your name in the middle of Times Square. That was a pretty crazy one with one of my other co-stars, Melinda Shankar. But I think the best thing that's ever happened was at the premiere for Degrassi, probably season 13 or maybe even 14, and we're all sitting at a step and repeat, and this young girl's talking to her girlfriend, and they're talking, and out of nowhere she gets down on one knee, mid step and repeat, and proposes to her girlfriend. There's actually a picture that I found, and my face is I'm losing. There's no genuine, she's not as shocked as I am. I'm getting proposed to or something. But that was definitely a moment that I don't think I'll ever forget for so many reasons. It was really great.
And one final question. You and several of your Degrassi co-stars have gone to third world countries to work with Free the Children.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, Free the Children is such an incredible organization, not only for what they're doing overseas, but what they are doing here in Canada and in the United States locally, But you can't describe something like that until you've done it, and it changes your whole perspective on industry and life and things and material possessions in a way that you don't know. What 15-year-old doesn't want to go buy a new car, if you have money? But after you go there and you see a kid playing with a stick, and the smile on his face is happier than I've ever been in my entire life, and he's playing with a stick on a little wheel, you can't go buy a $10,000, $40,000 car after that. You can't. You feel sick. It changes you in a way that's so much for the better, and all of us really felt it, and that's why you can't do one. You can't do one, you can't do two, you do 3, 4, 5. I did 3. We went to India, then Nicaragua, and then Haiti after that. Actually, I think I might be messing up my orders. I think it was Haiti and then Nicaragua. But, each time you grow so much as a person that you almost didn't know, not that was there, but it changes you in such a way for the positive. And the kids, too. You go there and you can't describe the look on their face for just the simplest of things. Water, something, a commodity that we take for granted here every day. We drink water, you leave a half-finished glass, done. You don't even think twice about it. These kids soaking up dirty, murky water. And for us in Nicaragua, we were actually able to build a filtration system so that they had water in their schools, right there. And the look on these kids' face when they saw this fresh, clear water coming out of this tap, you cry. You actually, I'm not an emotional person by any means. I cried. Every time leaving the kids, you build a relationship with these kids, and the country is beautiful, but you see their face when something as simple as a playground. We built a playground in Haiti, and I'm not a construction worker by any means. We did a horrible job constructing this playground, but it's the thought of what you're doing for these kids, and they're playing with nothing, and they don't need anything. I think that's the point. We here in our society, we're such a materialized society where we think things make us happy, when in reality, it's the people that are around you, and it's what you're doing, and it's who you're doing with, and that's really all that matters. And it's like you almost live your life like this, and then you go to a place like that, and you're like, there's so much more to like being a human than our society allows us to think. But it changed me. It changed all of us, and for the better. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you, and thank you very much for talking to us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.